You know, 'cause
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome to the school committee meeting of Monday, June 25th, 2018. This is your notice that this meeting is being electronically recorded. We're going to start tonight with a presentation by one of our great community partners of the Rebecca Lynn Whitefield presentation. So this time I'll turn it over to Superintendent Sawyer to introduce our guests.
Yes, please. Everyone want to come up to the table?
So we would like to first thank the foundation for their continued support for the schools and our community. And I just wanted to share that they have been working with us over the past couple of months to come up with a new concept. So first we'd like to have them share with you, and then I'd like to ask Kim to come up and share what the idea is.
So tragically, Rebecca passed away 10 years ago now. So we've tried to do a lot in her name to honor her with giving back to the schools and different things throughout the community, and we've been very appreciative of the relationship we've maintained with the school system. I think it's gotten better and stronger every year, which is really nice. And one of the things that used to be really important to us was making donations to the libraries. And we always donated money that was supposed to be to purchase new library books. But over time, it's now been 10 years, and so we're trying to just think about, okay, how can we keep up with the needs of the district? And we realize that schools get money for library books through different grants and other funds. So we really wanted to look at what could students really benefit from. So as a foundation, we tried to think about the way the learning has changed, and we've seen so many great project-based learning experiences happening in Attleboro. So we wanted to kind of support that as well. And so while we love our library books and we're happy that those will be staying in the buildings, we wanted to kind of add something new and do something a little bit different. So then we were talking with the schools, and we came up with the idea of a green screen, which Kim Jansen will talk to you a little bit more about. But basically we felt like this is something that all the students will really, really enjoy. It will motivate them, it will keep them engaged. We've seen it in action in a couple schools with just teachers doing things like that on their own. And you can use it for anything. It can be related to any curriculum area. It can be related to the integrated arts. And there's so many other skills that students will be learning as they're making scripts, making movies, taking projects they've done and just taking it to another level. So we're just really excited about doing something different, so that as time goes on, we can keep supporting the schools and recognizing that it may not always look the same as it has in the past. So we will be donating $4,000 to the school system to help support the green screen technology that Kim will be talking about. Who gets the real check? The important question.
You can't pass that one?
You can try. Can I give that one to you?
Thank you.
Did anyone have any questions for us, or do you want to wait?
Any questions for the foundation?
I have one.
Mr. Storrs?
So, 10 years, how much have you guys given to the Attleboro Public Schools, if you know that? I know it's a big number,
Oh.
so.
I don't even think I could tell you, because, and it's hard to differentiate because we've given directly to the schools, but then we've also done to all the different sports areas, and then to, we've given money just to specific families that we've known about, different activities going on, field trips. So I honestly couldn't, I know as a foundation, we've given out over just to schools.
No, I don't know, just to the schools.
No, in general, I think it's like 450,000.
I think for the schools, it's around
But-
$250,000.
I believe
Yeah.
that's right, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
good amount. But it's nice because we are obviously so passionate about the school system, and Rebecca went through the Attleboro public school system, so the board really feels strongly that this is a nice way to keep her memory alive.
Mrs. Scales?
I did see them use this technology at the STEAM night or STEM night
Yes.
that they had, and you'll be happy to know that they were using books. So it's kind of like a
Yeah, nice connection.
next
Thank
connection.
you. That is a
I
nice
referenced
connection.
that in my tiny little slideshow.
Okay.
Other comments? Well, I just want to thank you guys again. I mean, you guys have been a great partner for the schools. You know, we enjoy your support. Thank you for continuing to support the schools, everything you do, and taking, a tragedy for the city and turning it into good and something to keep our name alive in the school. So thank you for your support. We truly do appreciate it.
Thank you.
So Stephanie stole my thunder a bit in that. So yes, Stephanie and I actually, and a few other folks, viewed a bunch of technologies being run in different towns, and what we came up with, I mean, there were so many great ideas, but the green screen technology seemed like something that spanned many curriculums. It's pretty nifty, so I'm going to share this with you now, and I think I'm going to use the mouse. Sorry. So basically what a green screen is, and my purpose is just to explain to you what it's going to do for us. It's a video production tool that allows us to isolate images and then take those images, superimpose those images, and put them onto different backgrounds. So it makes for some pretty cool computer-generated effects. And I think it might be easier just to have a video show you. Do we have sound?
We'll find out.
Oh, it's not gonna. Maybe we won't. No luck? Well, anyway.
Is that full screen?
Let me see if any of the other.
Looks like a flat image.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's. So basically, what we're going to, what we're hoping to get from this is each school will have a green screen kit, which will come with lights and a backdrop and a case. And we hope that it's going to be a permanent fixture and a spot in our schools where it's not something that we take apart and put back together all the time. It's there, the students know, and the teachers know that it's something that's going to be reliable. We'll also use an iPad to capture our images, as well as some software that goes along with that. Let's see if our other videos. So I don't believe it looks like the videos came over, but what I will do is take this slideshow and I'll put it on our website, and then the links will be active and you can check them out. But basically what it was showing was that in this particular video, what I would hope to attain from this is that we could perhaps set up a news center so a green screen, basically, here's a good example. The weather report is a green screen technology. So when the meteorologist is pointing to different things, it's a green screen, and then the image is being transferred later. So that's basically what these videos show, and this video takes you through the production process. So it shows how kids collaborate. It's all about project-based learning, how they, in the end, fuse all the different curriculum pieces, writing, producing, collaborating, all of our exit outcomes, actually, into something that happens on a regular basis. In this case, it was something that they produced and was displayed throughout the community. So I hope I did it justice. I really didn't want to talk too long about this, but we're really happy and I think very excited that we're having the opportunity to get one of these in every one of our schools. So again, let's, you know what?
Look.
Maybe these will work. These were if we had time at the end, I would show them. But this is, hopefully, this is what Mrs. Scales was talking about at STEAM Night, or our Blue STEAM Ahead. Let's see. Oh shoot, I'm sorry. It looks like we are in an endless loop of. We'll see if we have sound.
I read The Invention of Helical Bread by Brian Salzman. If you love adventure books, you will love this book. My favorite part was in the beginning, when he jumped out of the window of the train station.
So that was just a short tidbit, but these were done during our STEAM night. So kids were coming in, they were bringing books, and then they were asked to talk about them on the spot. So you saw the background that was superimposed. That's basically an example. It looks like again. So does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry that
Glenn?
my videos.
This is really interesting, and the value I think is really clear when you see the end productions. I was curious what comes in the kit. So you've got the lighting, you've got the
Yes.
backdrop. Is the microphone with it, or is that separate? Or
Microphone is separate.
Okay.
So that would be something that we'd have to look into. But the kits, I've seen the kits in action in some of our neighboring communities. and they're the exact kit that we're going to offer our schools.
And I think what's really great is that there's the opportunity to level up. I saw this setup, the similar setup, Kathy, drawing a blank on her name. Oh gosh. But it was in a media center just like this. And then, so you have the green screen and you have the iPad. There's also something called a Padcaster that can level up the quality of the production to get the sound quality. So it's professional production. So we're having students do work that matters that they want to share out. So it goes from being green screen as something cool, kind of nifty, to, all right, this is really enhancing the design piece of it. And I love that there's like a professional piece to it, because the lighting is really critical. You can like paint walls and do like those green tarps, but having a space where students can record, have the lighting, so that they're putting together something that can be showcased, I think is really important. And I'm grateful to the foundation for providing the funding, grateful for you to bring this, putting this at the top of the priority. So I'm really excited to see what comes out of it, and I'm also excited to see how this continues to evolve, as this is like a really good entry point, but also an important stepping stone.
And it's interesting because that's what this video, that was my remarks at the end, were to show this was an amazing project that this school in Canada had created. Again, it's that newscast.
Yep.
And they started just with filming, as some of our schools actually do. Coelho has a maybe it's not a daily newscast, but Willett had one for a while as well. And they started with something really small, and they've really grown. And this girl, it kind of ends with her talking about how much she's grown through the project-based learning experience. So it's not really always about just solely the technology and the bells and whistles, but it's about that integration piece. It's taking something that we're typically doing and just giving it a kick, making it a little bit more exciting, and giving kids or re-energizing, I think, kids to do similar things that they've always done, but in a different way, something a little more current. So again, I'm sorry that these aren't working, but I will put the version that does work on the website, so you'll be able to see that. And actually, it's a good tool as we kick it off at the schools for students to see some of this as well. So any other questions for me?
Other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank
Very-
you.
Chairman
Hope you'll
Withers,
come.
we get a photo with you and
Yeah.
the big check.
Oh, thank you, yes.
These screens are referred
Big
to as
photo.
the legacy
Yeah, where we going?
mainframe applications. So it has a different connotation. Yes, yes. Yes.
Still running Lotus.
We still use Lotus now.
Ready?
We're finally migrating to Outlook after 18 years.
Then will you guys look this way? Sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
A lot of work.
Completely work.
Well, no.
Stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They're the apps to help you do this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, that's free.
Right. Next, the Attleboro School Committee will convene an executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Sections 21A2 and 3, to discuss strategy with respect to negotiations with non-union personnel and to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee. The school committee will reconvene in open session.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Dominici?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Storrs?
Yes.
Mr. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Withers, yes. Mrs. Scales?
Yes.
Mr. Geddes?
Yes.
Mrs. Sawyer?
Yes.
All right.
Bill Manici, right? It was like Bill Manici.
Oh, you were so close.
So moving on, first item on our business agenda tonight is the superintendent's evaluation. Each year, we are required by statute to evaluate the superintendent. This year, per our policy, this is a formative evaluation. And next year will be a little bit more sophisticated summative evaluation, after the idea being that the newly elected committee will have had a full term with the superintendent and have more feedback to be able to give. The evaluation was, the proposed evaluation was sent to the committee members for their consideration. The evaluation in family and community engagement was exemplary, and in structural leadership also exemplary, professional culture exemplary, management and operations proficient, and overall proficient. Before we open it up for discussion, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, comments, or questions?
Comments?
Mr. Scales? Yeah.
I'm just, I would have done exemplary for everything, because I just think you've done a fantastic job for the district, and I appreciate all the effort that you've put in. It really reflects on the current status as the center of the community, and I think we're, little by little, we get there every day.
Thank you. Mr. Storrs?
One of my strongest comments in my feedback had to do with the culture that you created. I very much appreciate, having seen the district over the amount of years that I've seen the district, how you give ownership to the different administrators, as well as the staff in general, that you give them ownership for what they're responsible for. You don't try to micromanage, yet you still do your job of overseeing the entire school district, and I value that.
Mr. Geddes?
I mentioned in my evaluation how fortunate we are to have you leading this organization. I think the improvements that have been made and continue to be made, to Mrs. Scales' point, you came into this position with under a brand new, very ambitious mission and vision statement, and 3 years into that, 3 years now, right? 3 years into that, we're already close to where we want to be, and that starts at the top. So we're very fortunate and very grateful for everything you've done for us. Thank you.
Mr. Dominici?
You're good.
Dominici.
That's it.
There you go. Thank
So, for me, in my current role, it's very limited exposure, but I've had the pleasure of being part of the school building committee with you. And, you talk about the vision statements as far as community engagement. I mean, what we achieved this year, you were front and center on it all. Whether the sessions were sparsely attended or whether they were, fulfilled, at capacity. You were unwavering in the support of getting, stressing the importance and the need of a new high school. And that's not something that anybody could have just done. And I would have never thought that that would have been possible here in this community. Not that folks don't value education, but just given everything, the socioeconomic status, the numbers that came out after, we started getting the first estimates. It was a big hurdle to begin with, and that only made it bigger. So, I'm proud to, have served on this and continue to serve on that committee. And I will echo the sentiments of my colleagues here, and that we're fortunate to have you.
Mr. Quinn?
You have an incredibly challenging job. Any superintendent has an incredibly challenging job as the chief executive officer of the district. I think, given our limited resources, given the size of the school, it's even more challenging. But you continue to find a way to maximize the most of every dollar by inspiring people. And I think one of the two core tenets that I think of the many that you enact is that you model the way. And I think that there's a authenticity of your leadership that inspires essentially everyone. But the other piece of this, and it goes hand in hand, is that you empower other people to act. And I think what we have a really strong central office staff, leadership team, educators. And because of the modeling and because of the empowering, we have really strong performance. And I mentioned this in your evaluation that I think the quality of just the district as a whole is a reflection of a high-quality superintendent. And they're hard to find, and I feel like we're fortunate to have you. You know, when you set the goal for the passage of the high school, I thought that, you know, it's really ambitious to put that as your goal, and this is what you're going to be held accountable for. You know, you put it on the Mass Pike. You know, as Mr. Domenici said, that, you know, you were at meetings when, you know, we had a capacity crowd, and then I remember there was one night when you showed up and you were the only one there. But you showed up, and I think that's what you continue to do. And I just appreciate the effort that goes into it. And so keep up the great work.
Bill?
I always appreciate watching executives put teams together, because I think that speaks a lot of who they are and who they can bring basically to them and create a nucleus around themselves. And watching what you've done over the last couple of years with your central administrative group has been very impressive, in my opinion. I think the core group that Attleboro has running the central office is a great group of people, and I think it's a big statement to your leadership style that you've been able to put that group together. So my compliments to you.
Anyone else? So, you know, I don't think there's much else to add, and I think it's in the comments and the evaluation. I just say that, you know, I know you come from a curriculum background, and instruction and instructional leadership is what you felt most comfortable with. It's your, as you say, your passion and your comfort zone. But, you know, it's the other areas that really stick out to me of improvements that you've made and that the districts have made. The amount of people who come up to me throughout the community to say how, you know, how great the leadership of the Attleboro Public Schools is now, and what a difference it is, and seeing the difference, you know, in Attleboro schools being in the community is really noteworthy. And I think, you know, we saw that, you know, I think that played a big part in what happened in April, and I think that plays a big part in the commitment and the confidence that the community is starting to show in the schools, which is something we've always talked about needing to change, you know, the narrative, the perception of the schools, and that starts at the top. And I think that's been a big change the past 2 years, so I would commend you on that. No other comments, then we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Domenici?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mr. Storrs?
Yes.
Mr. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Weathers, yes. Mrs. Scales?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Geddes?
Yes.
Mrs. Sawyer?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. And moving on, we'll turn it over to you for your superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. First, I'd like to just make a couple comments about the end of the year. It was a momentous year, as we've already discussed a little bit. And I would say that it was successful on many fronts. We faced a series of challenges and you know, found our way through all of them. It felt good to make it to the end. It was a long year, and felt good to finally bring it home. I will say that the ending was not without its bumps, and I think that is you know, you can correlate that with the fact that we had to go a week longer than we originally planned to. I have to say that you know, when we get into that second half of June, the environmental conditions in many of our buildings starts to degrade. As we get farther and farther away from high stakes testing, our kids, you know, stamina starts to fade as well. And so whatever we can do to keep our calendar such that we're getting done in that you know, more mid-June time period is something that we really need to work on. And in fact, Ms. Regan and I have been talking about we need to pursue opportunities that the state offers to try other things in terms of dealing with snow days. There are options that we have that we're going to investigate fully, so that maybe we can not have to go out to the 21st in years to come. Because again, some of the problems we were dealing with in that last week, which were all, you know, manageable, but still, you could feel like we were running out of juice. In that last week, a couple positives. We had a nice summer reading event at Riverwalk Park with our partners, most notably the library. And I just would like to tell the many parents watching at home right now that there's nothing more important than reading of all the things that we do as a school district. And so whatever people can do to support their kids' reading during the summer, there are a few things that will pay as much a benefit. And the programming they do at the library to support our summer reading is really effective and appreciated. So it's an opportunity I would definitely encourage people to avail themselves. I don't know if you want to say anything.
So this summer, we changed the summer reading just a little bit. There's one title for incoming grades 5 through 8 that the students have a choice. It's required reading, but they have a choice between fiction and nonfiction. And grades 9 through 12, again, they have a choice of many different titles, and then the required reading for their specific English courses. And again, we're continuing with the menu of choices for them to complete more project-based learning opportunities throughout the summer on the books that they've read. And it's been successful for the past few years, so we'll continue with that.
We completed last Friday with the teachers, and that final day is Professional Development Day. And, I think we can all admit that that last day, has its drawbacks in terms of how prepared our faculty are to engage in anything, let alone meaningful professional development. But we've worked really hard to find the right balance and to attack the right kind of work to be doing at that time of year. And we feel like we're making progress in offering them a meaningful experience that helps us to set the stage for the coming year. Initial reports on how that all went on Friday are very, very positive.
I agree.
As I mentioned in another update, we are, digging into the MCAS data that's available to us. Not all of it's available, and it's also the case that with a new accountability system, we don't really know what it means yet, the way we used to understand what MCAS 1.0 meant. No real strong sense of how it went in that sense, but it's an important time of year as we try to use that data to identify students who we know are going to need supports next year and make sure that they're in the right places so that we can do our best by them.
So currently, right now, in the preliminary data, we have about between 50 and 60% of the ELA information, and that's all from the machine scored items. And for math and science, we have about 70% of the machine scored items back. Everything else needs to be manually scored, and that could adjust our current results in one direction or the other. So we really want to take the time to look at that data thoughtfully and think about how the impact of the lowest 25% of students is going to impact our accountability rating as well as our students' access scores for ELL. So.
And now we're shifting into planning for August. We have quite a few meetings with our administrators in August as we help them plan for the coming school year. While we work with them throughout the school year, the sort of optimism and lack of distractions is never better than it is in August. And so that's our real chance to frame the year and to set expectations and to implement changes that we're looking to do. And so August will be a very important time for that work. And we're busy preparing for that so that is also a meaningful use of time.
Yeah, this is the first year that we are inviting outside speakers and outside presenters to come in and speak with our administrative team on our district goals that we currently have. So we're looking forward to that.
It's a range of topics from, instructional leadership, the kind of stuff we like to talk about, but also legal matters. We have, real challenges and society is becoming ever more litigious, so we want to make sure that everyone in the district knows their responsibilities so that we can make sure that we're on the right side of the things that we choose to do. So I would just end my end of year report by saying that there are two items that will be better discussed in July. The first is that we'll need to talk about the budget report for FY18, which at that point we'll be able to get into as work is still madly underway to close out FY18. And also we owe you a progress report on our 2020 strategic plan and we'll be in a better place in July to give you that update. So that's it for my end of year. I have a couple other things to discuss with you this evening. One, I wanted to thank you for taking my little survey for those that were able to. The big takeaway for me was the confirmation I had that the previews is not the best expenditure of time. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those for next year and promote the use of our building calendars through the website, which we're making better use of now than we were a year ago. So I feel more comfortable with that move than I would have last year. But the other practices, the highlights and the weekly updates, we're going to continue. And it's one of the things I'll be reflecting on this summer, how I can better keep you guys informed, because I know it's an important part of my job, so that you're aware of what's going on, so that you can speak to the issues as your constituents speak to you about them. So again, thank you for that. We have an important piece of business to do this evening, which is to approve the FY19 budget. Turn that over to Mr. Furtado.
Yes, we finalized our negotiations with the city at a FY19 budget of $74,690,328.99.
Where does that, where is that in comparison to what we
Proposed
approved?
it was 74,768,062. So it's about $78,000 difference.
Any questions for Mr. Furtado? Motion to approve the fiscal year 2019 budget.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
I guess just one question, right? So that's slightly under what we were asking for, and it's a small percentage, right? And it sounds silly, but there's no impact to staffing anywhere.
We didn't make any staffing adjustments
Okay.
based on that outcome.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right.
Thank you. Quick MSBA update. I was at the design team meeting in Foxborough on Friday. Most of that meeting was devoted to the site design, so the parking lots, the walkways around the building, elements on the outside of the building. I'm here to report that that's coming along nicely. It's very thoughtful work. They're very focused on delivering not only a building that's going to be educational sound on the inside, but one that's going to be functional and inviting on the outside as well. The big project that's also they're engaged in at this point is negotiating with NGrid on the the movement of the easement that's out in the ball field. I believe everyone understands what has to happen, and it's going to happen. It's just a question of at what speed. I think the design team wants to move at one speed, and perhaps NGrid is moving at a different speed. But we'll get there, and we have a lot of experienced people who will know how to get us to the place we need to be, so that we keep on time. And every time I'm there, I'm just a simple educator. When they start talking about, the tension and the power cords, I really only have so much I can offer to this. But the thing I am sensitive to is, are we still, on the same timeline that we set for ourselves? And the answer is yes. So I'll let you know if that ever changes. And then the last thing I would say is that negotiations are still underway to secure a contract with the construction manager. That hasn't happened yet, and I will certainly let you know when that has occurred. So that's
Are
it
they
for.
proceeding in the normal course, or?
Yeah,
okay,
no-
yeah, no issues.
I'm assuming no news is good news, but nothing to report yet in terms of that. Any questions?
Any
about the
questions?
project?
There was a school building committee meeting added for June 27th, correct?
Yes.
And then, because of the 4th, the next meeting after that is July 18?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next thing I have for you is I'm asking for approval of a contract for our Director of Finance and Controller. So, as you know, the Director of Finance is a position that under state law, you need to approve. And we looked at the salaries in relation to Mr. Furtado's contract currently. We did a market analysis, and we looked at three different groups of schools. We looked at our local districts to see what our surrounding communities were paying. We looked at our DART districts, which the state says are most like us. And then we also looked at districts with similar enrollments. The idea being that districts with similar size have similar sets of responsibilities. And when we looked at these three groups, we found that Mr. Furtado's salary was below market value, significantly lower on two of the three. And the third group, which was more similar, was actually the smallest group that had incomplete information, and so we think that that may have skewed the overall result. So we are recommending a contract that adds a 3% market adjustment to Mr. Furtado's expected salary for next year as an adjustment, and to offer him a 3-year contract so that we can secure his place in the district and both take away any concerns about the future of this position for him or for us moving forward.
Before we start discussion, do we have a motion to approve the proposed contract with the Director of Finance and Controller?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Mr. Storrs?
Yeah, I just want to say, to me, one of the most important things that Mr. Furtado was able to do is the amount of money that he actually saves our district. Over the years, you've saved us. It's hard to put into value, into numbers, how much you have actually saved this district. So I definitely see value in acting now to secure you over the next 3 years. So I will be supporting this. And, I know that you had 1 more year left on your contract, and of course there was going to be a salary increase with that. So that's, the amount of your first year in this next contract is offset by that. So I definitely see in value in doing this.
Mr. Sawyer or Mrs. Singer, can one of you speak to the particulars of what you found in looking at neighboring districts and what comparable positions are?
Sure. As Superintendent Sawyer said, when I went to do a market analysis, we looked at 3 distinct groups. Our DART districts, which are supposedly the most similar to us. There were 11 in that category. Only 7 of them report salaries, and so that was, as Superintendent Sawyer said, the lowest average group. But I think there were 2 reasons for that. One, the number of reporting salaries was low. Less than 2/3, and then also those districts have other people on staff that would, in addition, so Mark does all of our finance here. Other districts have assistant directors of finance, business managers, or facilities managers, in addition to a director of finance. So that played into those numbers. From our local district perspective, all 4 had salaries, and they were roughly in the high 120s. And then from an enrollment perspective, there are 15 districts that we looked at from an enrollment perspective, some a little more than us, some a little less. Also, their average was around 132. So the number and the adjustment made is appropriate. It puts us in about the 50th percentile of salary in this category of Director of Finance. So it was, again, as Superintendent Sawyer said, indicative of a 3% market adjustment is what the contract in front of you indicates.
Any other question, Mr. Geddes?
To echo Mr. Storrs' point related to financial savings, a lot of that comes from the other part of your job, which is the facilities management. And some of that comes from either energy efficiency initiatives, research and grants for us,
keeping tabs on what's costing us too much money in buildings, and what issues are coming up in the buildings. I think your relationship with the city, whether it's Councilor Conti for capital improvements or Mr. Lacasse on the budget and administration office. I think we're lucky to have you where you are. Sometimes we're impressed. I think Mr. Larson would say, you know, the monthly budget meetings are almost like a magic show in some ways, just making sure that we're staying in the black year to year. So thank you for all that you do.
Mr. Quinn?
If you pay attention to some of the job openings across the state, or just the financial business managers in this position, similar as we've discussed, there's an extreme shortage of people who are certified. A lot of people want to come in from the outside but don't understand the nuance of school business management, and to find somebody who is as experienced as you, as knowledgeable, and as approachable, I think is you have a lot of great qualities, Mr. Furtado, and we're fortunate that you were able to come back here, and that you continue want to serve the Attleboro Public Schools as well as you have, and look forward to an extension of that agreement with you.
Thank you.
Mr. Larson?
All I can say is I've had the privilege of working with you for a number of years, and I'm thrilled to see this happening for you, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Sawyer? Oh, sorry, the motion is to approve the contract, the proposed contract. It's been properly seconded. Mrs. Sawyer?
Yes.
Mr. Geddes?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Scales?
Yes.
Mr. Withers, yes. Mr. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Storrs?
Yes.
Mr. Larson? Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mr. Dominici?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I want to thank the committee for the consideration. I want to assure you that I'm enjoying the situation here with the new superintendent and new senior team very much, and look forward to continue to help the district achieve its goals.
Great.
I'd like to thank you. You're certainly making my job easier by securing Mr. Furtado. And, you know, I honestly think it's hard to find people who have his skill set in terms of managing a district of this size and all of its complexity. But the thing that I think, you know, but might not get as much attention is that Mr. Furtado never for a second forgets that our work is about kids. It's
Cannot
his
I have to
greatest
second that.
strength.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And we're very, very lucky that someone who can do the magic with the numbers also gets that in the end, this is about kids. We're lucky. All right, final thing on my report this evening is Ms. Regan would like to give a little update on central registration.
So central registration will start on July 24th. It'll be on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 3 weeks, and it'll end on August 9th. Any registrations that come in after that will be by appointment only. So we're hoping that during those 3 weeks when we're offering central registration that any new families that would like to enroll their children in the Attleboro schools will come on those days. If you would like more information, you can go onto the website under central office registration, and all of the information is right there on our website.
Will this be in the paper, Facebook, on social media?
Yes, we'll be advertising as well. Thank you.
Mr. Withers? Mr. Quinn?
I don't know if this is possible, but one recommendation, I find the flashboards that the city has throughout the city to be pretty effective. The one on Caper Park, and then there's one over by the auto body shop. Perhaps that might, I don't know if we could coordinate with the city to potentially have that while people are driving by. You know, the website's great, the social media is great, but I think sometimes parents miss things, and having it kind of right up front.
That's a great point. I can't say that I ever thought of that, but you're right. I swear to God, in September, people see a bus drive by and they're like, "Oh yeah, I should register my kids." So that'll help.
Anything else?
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Sawyer. Moving on, we have minutes from our June 11th meeting. The minutes were circulated with your packets. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $100 from Dell's Lemonade to the Attleboro High School Gifts Donation Line.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $200 from the Attleboro Elks refund of security deposit for the senior breakfast to the class of 2018.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $10,000 from the Brennan Organization of Parents, Inc. to Brennan Gifts Donation Line to be used for the purchase of 48 Chromebooks.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $15,000 from the Studley PTO to the Gifts Donation Line to be used to purchase Chromebooks and recess equipment.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $14,500 from the Hyman Fine PTO to Gifts Donation Line to purchase Chromebooks and supplies to support fine arts and makerspace.
So
So
moved.
moved? I'm sorry, second?
I just say, because this is the last of the 3 in a row, again, thanks to our PTOs. I mean, this is just another example of the great work they do in providing technology and other needful items for our schools. We could not get by without their hard work and support. So, thank you, Mr. Geddes.
Just to echo that, for those counting at home, that's nearly $40,000 in donations just from 3 PTOs. That is phenomenal. Thank you, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to declare the following copiers as surplus. Canon IR 2870, SLG 11379, 116-76795. Canon IR 5570, SLQ 24471, 11397051. Canon IR 3030, MUF 03122, 114-87064. Canon IR 3300, MPH 47770, 116-78-179. Canon IR 3300, MPH 47784, 113-95520. Lanier LD 270, M93854, 00013, 125-85705. Lanier LD 270, M93854, 0000034, 125-85711. Canon IR 2230, THF 02114, 114-87090. And Lanier LD 270, M9385300, 577-125-85728.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
That concludes the,
Chairman, would you like to approve the check we received this evening?
yes, so we received a motion to approve a check in the amount of $4,000 from the Rebecca Lynn Whitefield Foundation.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, and that concludes the consent agenda tonight. Now moving on to the subcommittee report. We have a report from Policy and Personnel, Mrs. Scales.
Okay, so we are bringing forth 6 job descriptions tonight. The first is the Abacus Director. Motion to approve as amended.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to approve the Abacus Assistant Director job description.
So moved?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to approve the Abacus Site Manager job description.
So moved?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to approve the Abacus Child Care Provider job description.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to approve the Abacus Assistant Child Care Provider job description.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And last but not least, the motion to approve the BCBA job description.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And we came up with a list of moving, different sections that we're going to do for the policy book moving forward. And we have a meeting in July, even though some people weren't happy about that. But we're going forward with it. I forget the date, but stay tuned.
Who was upset about it?
Not me. I said it was best for you to not do that, but I'm all for it.
Thank you, Mrs. Scales. Open forum, is there anyone here who would like to address the committee at open forum? All right, that'll close the open forum. Next, we'll have an executive session. The Attleboro School Committee will convene an executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Sections 21A, 2, and 3, to discuss strategy with respect to negotiations with non-union personnel and to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining. As an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee, the school committee may or may not reconvene in open session.
So moved.
Second.
Scott?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Steve, yes. Lori? Shannon?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Let's take 3 minutes or so.
Put it on next time.
I think we knew we were gonna be shorted right out of the gate.
And,
Yeah.
I thought we thought that number was whatever Joe's going to.
He's still in the